Don't get me started.
Rolling on sound and you're good to go, she said.
Okay. Can you please recite your name for?
I'm sorry, you want to explain to him
Okay.
before?
When I ask you a question, you should just wait a couple seconds and then restate my question, because I'm not going to be in the recording. It's just going to be you, so people will know what you're talking about. So just restate the question before you answer.
Or phrase it so it's not a question, just...
Okay. All right. What is your name?
My name is Mike Fioretti.
How long have you been medicating?
Well, medicating or using? It's two different things, and I've been using for 38 years. Medicating, using it as medicine, probably now for, I want to say 23 years before I figured out it was helping me medically.
Why do you medicate?
I medicate mostly because of pain. I have several spinal fusions. I am disabled. I was considered disabled maybe 7 years ago. I'm in 24-hour constant pain, around the clock, never stops. I'm still on my feet, and I don't take any narcotic painkillers. And I've done this for 10 years now, since I was injured and put back together.
How does it help you with your medical condition?
My medical condition is helped by the alleviation of the pain. It allows me to function. It allows me to, carry on a relatively normal life where most people would be laying in bed most of the time, not able to do anything.
Can you explain what happened, why you started using it medically, what was the incident?
Well, for my current condition, there's actually several conditions I have. I have the chronic pain. I also suffer from Graves' disease and post-traumatic stress syndrome. That was my first use. That's where I really figured out that marijuana helped my condition, was after my son passed away. My youngest son passed away in 1989. He was a perfectly healthy kid, and it was a freak accident. It shook my world. And I don't know if I could have carried on the way I did with barely a blip on the radar if it wasn't for cannabis. I mean, I was devastated, but I had to carry on. But it was so tempting to just sit there and let the grief consume you. And I was able to carry on. It's just as simple as that.
So was cannabis able to allow you to have a more positive outlook on things?
Yeah, it controlled. I mean, that's probably the only time I can say in my life that I flirted with depression, and it never consumed me. I was able to fight it off and carry on, and I did so for for the sake of my dead son, and plus for the sake of my two other young sons at the time. But I think without it, it could have been very easy to have succumbed to the depression and just given up, like so many people do after such a traumatic experience. I mean, it's tragic to lose a child in any form, but with no warning, no, foresight of anything, anything like that happening, and such a shock to your system. I don't know. I don't think I could have gotten through it. I really can't.
What are some of the side effects of using medical cannabis?
Other than the fact that I forget where I put my keys and, hey, where did I set my cigarettes and whatnot, I see absolutely no side effects from medical cannabis. I've been in the field of science my entire life. I feel that my ability to think on my feet at that, is as sharp today as it ever was. Back when I went to school, went through college, I'm a degreed chemist. I see no drop off after 38 years of use.
Why did you decide to start using medical cannabis?
Medical cannabis, how can I say this? I don't live in a medical state, so there is no medical cannabis per se available. I do have access to some very high grade medical grade cannabis, and I don't know, excuse me, we're gonna have to strike that. Repeat the question.
Why did you decide to start using medical cannabis? And you can say why you started to do it recreationally at first and then transition into medical.
Right. Why did I start using medical cannabis? I never really started using medical cannabis per se. I started as a recreational user. I still consider myself a recreational user as well as a medical user. I enjoy it, plain and simple. There's, some people enjoy having a martini. I enjoy having a few puffs. It makes me feel better, and I'm not, impaired per se. So, recreational use, medical use, I see it as dual use.
How do you feel about the term medical marijuana?
The term medical marijuana, that, I think it does have strictly medical uses, and if we are going to look at it as medical marijuana, I think that there must be certain conditions that have to set the criteria where marijuana has been, if we want to be fair about this, where it has been proven to be helpful. Flat out, I think marijuana should be legalized, regulated, and taxed. And that's the short story there. It has its uses. I think it's probably the most useful substance on the face of the earth, or one of the most useful substances. So I guess, I don't know if there is I think more research needs to be done. I think more, if it proves to have the cancer fighting abilities that it has, I think that in itself makes it a medicine. And then we can have true medical marijuana. Other than that, it's muddy waters. It really is.
Does your doctor support your decision?
My current doctor doesn't know. My former doctors, my longtime family physician knows. He says there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. He's more concerned about narcotics, and if a patient ever injected, that's his most concern. So, he can't, again, that's in a state that's non-medical, so, he's bound not to say too much about it, but he said it's not a problem and he has no objections to it. My neurosurgeon, we didn't discuss it very much. He, again, didn't acknowledge very much, but didn't discourage its use. My physical therapists, after my 3 surgeries to rebuild me, being a right shoulder rebuild, triple level fusion in my neck, and a triple level fusion in my lower back, they completely endorsed my use. My recovery from those 3 surgeries were in a fraction of the time that normal people took, and I was doing things beyond what, actually, after the surgeries, I was beyond what they considered 100% in range of motion and strength. And the time was cut down so much that they knew that, what were you doing? They asked me straight out, what are you doing different than anybody else? And I said, well, I smoke a lot of pot. I was honest. And that whole physical therapy outfit was fully behind me. They said there had to be something in it because I was way beyond all their other patients. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I fully believe it did have a great effect.
What does your family and friends think of you using medical cannabis?
My family and friends, most of my friends, and I have hundreds of them, a vast majority are smokers, recreationally or medically. My family is fully behind me. There's no questions. They don't, and I'm open about it. Everybody knows. They don't question it. If it helps, it helps. Plain and simple. I mean, they're result-oriented people.
Why do you want medical cannabis legalized?
I'd love to see medical cannabis legalized because I think that is the first step that needs to be taken on the road to full legalization, regulation, and taxation. And without seeing that the medical aspect of marijuana is being recognized pretty much worldwide, I think that is the avenue that we need to take it a step further and go for full legalization. Because that's my ultimate goal. I think that's where it should be.
Why do you think the American government has kept it illegal for so long?
I believe the American government has kept it illegal for so long because I think pressure from industries, their campaign contributors, the textile industry, big pharma in particular, the alcohol industry, the tobacco industry to a certain extent. All these uses, you're going to see these companies, these corporations take a big hit if it ever becomes legal, especially big pharma. I mean, they can give you, 20 different prescriptions for your condition, and you can maybe, in some circumstances, it's been documented that people have basically come off all their pharmaceuticals and control their conditions with marijuana. If that's the case, they stand to lose a lot of money. Their profit margins are incredible. I don't know what they do with their profits. I still don't think that they're putting money towards cures. All they want is treatments. So I think the biggest influence on the government is the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma.
Do you participate in any form of activism?
I have recently become an activist because now I have no more corporate ties. I'm free to speak my mind without embarrassing, quote unquote, embarrassing the companies that I worked for, or, maybe going against their policies or whatever. I did it out of respect. But now that I'm on my own, I've decided to join up several groups in my state, and I'm fighting for medical and for full legalization.
Do you mind me asking where you used to work?
I'd rather not say where I worked.
Okay.
Well, actually it is public information. I worked most recently as a real estate professional for a company in Wisconsin called Shore West. It's their largest real estate company. Before that, I did over 2 decades with a chemical company as a process engineer and chemical operator named Roquette. And that's where I got hurt. That's where my career ended, and I became basically disabled.
What happened when you got hurt?
It was an industrial accident. I got injured in 1999. I basically blew out my right shoulder, blew out 3 discs in my neck and blew out 3 discs in my lower back. They were completely gone. Working in a chemical plant is rough work. It's dangerous work. I enjoyed it, but it took its toll on my body. From my initial injury in 1999, I went through surgeries up until 2003, July of 2003, to put me back together. It took 3 years, 3.5 years.
So did you fall? Was there an explosion? What
I guess I got hurt, just normal wear and tear. Just other specific incidences, I'm sure that there's times that I injured myself and just kept going on, but to say when did I really just, fall apart, that's hard to say.
Okay. How do you medicate?
I smoke. I smoke to medicate. I've tried vaporizers. I'm not really fond of them. Actually, ingestion, edible products, cookies, cakes, and so on, is actually the most effective way to medicate for pain. But I have rather limited access to high-grade medical marijuana, so it's few and far between the times that I have edibles, but that is the best way of delivering for pain relief. Maybe not so much for other, ailments, but for pain relief, ingestion is the best.
Have you ever encountered any problems trying to access your medication in the black market?
Have I ever had trouble accessing? Absolutely not. I have had access to marijuana every day since 1974. For me, it's the easiest thing in the world to come by.
Have you ever been hassled by law enforcement?
Law enforcement. I've been hassled by law enforcement. I was on a road trip and I was stopped at a drug checkpoint, and I was hassled. They just took it and left me go on my merry way. I was very lucky. But other than that, I know several people in law enforcement, and most of them agree that it should be decriminalized at the least and legalized at the most. So the overall answer is a little bit. A little bit of hassle. Overall, it hasn't been too bad. The fear is always there, though. And people shouldn't have to live like that. We're not hurting anybody.
Is there anything else you'd like to add today, Mike?
Not really. I think we covered most of it.
You've done a great job for us, man. You just made...
Did a really good job.
Yeah, this was awesome. This has been great. Thank you.